welcome back to the Think About It channel. Today we're doing an episode of Hustle where we talk to entrepreneurs in the South Jersey and Philadelphia areas. Today we're with Antonio and Madisson of South Jersey Canine. What's going on, guys?
Yeah,
Antonio and Madisson are the head trainers and founders of South Jersey Canine, and they offer 24/7 trainer support, free evaluations. They also engage in rescue partnerships and participate in educational events and community demonstrations in the South Jersey and Philly area. So the first question I have for you guys is, how did you meet and what drew you to start your business?
so we actually met training dogs. We were both members of Schutzen Dog Training Club. So Schutzen is it's a dog sport. It's a sport that was originally designed to temperament test the German Shepherd, and we're big German Shepherd lovers. We have three of them. So we were both training to compete in this sport at the same club. I was a decoy there, so I was the guy getting bit. She came in with her dog. We met. Didn't really hit it off right away. It was just kind of working together, and then, we eventually started to be together. And when she left the dog training company that she was with, she was kind of in a limbo for a little bit. So one of the things that we've always been passionate about was dog training. I've been training dogs for 6 years. She's been training dogs since 2018. So we really wanted to do this, and we wanted to do it in a way. I'm sorry, I'm going a little off topic.
You're good. Keep going. I like it. Keep going.
I know you just asked me how we met, but yeah, we wanted to do the dog training, but we wanted to do it in a way that was a little bit different. In South Jersey, you got a lot of facilities, if you will, dog schools. So that's great and all. We both have worked in a setting like that, but at the end of the day, a lot of our clients in those settings would complain that when they would go home and try to work with their dogs, they wouldn't get the same results. Mm-hmm. So South Jersey Canine was kind of our brainchild of, we want to bring the training to the client. So one of our main things is we're mobile. We go to the clients, we come out, train your dog in your setting, get them ready for the real world in your backyard, in your neighborhood. But yeah, we met training dogs, so this is our passion.
Very cool. And I totally get that sentiment. Like I just mentioned off camera, like I'm a teacher by day. So it's one of those things where sometimes the kids are way different in the classroom than they are at home.
Right.
And sometimes the parents are very not always happy to hear that there is a difference between how they act at home and how they act in the classroom.
Right.
So I totally get that. Segueing off what you were talking about with the things that you guys do outside of just sort of I don't want to say like routine, but like when people think of like a dog training service, they think of like sort of like your obedience school type stuff. So outside of like obedience and behavior work for your average household dog, if you will, what other stuff do you guys do? Because I believe you do more than just that.
Yeah, for sure. So we're very passionate about working dogs in general. So we train therapy dogs, we train service dogs. We also do protection work, and protection sports is actually something we're super passionate about that we do that's a little bit different than your regular obedience training. So like you mentioned, we have 3 German Shepherds, and we do a sport called PSA with them. So it's actually, very difficult, training to the highest level. So that's always something, we're always about pushing the dogs and challenging them to get to their true potential. So we offer that. Service work, we do, a lot of psychiatric service dogs. So for veterans, that's something, we can be big on, as well as your, medical alert service dogs. We have people come to us and, they have things like POTS or, just like some lifelong things they're dealing with. And, we are very passionate about training service dogs for them because, it could change their life. Absolutely. So definitely working dogs in general, aside from the obedience, we're very big on, the more, what else can we do with the dog, the more advanced things, for sure.
That's awesome. So you guys are also very active in the community. You have like a whole community section of your website where you do different events and demonstrations. So when you guys are doing one of those events, community events, demonstrations, whatever, what are some of the things that you are hoping to educate people on?
So one of the things that we touched on most recently, we were actually at the Narvis Fest in Mount Laurel, and one of the things that I spoke on was just the different types of drive that dogs had. You know, a lot of people don't realize when they get certain breeds, like the German Shepherd, for example, boxers, Dobermans, Rottweilers, you know, dogs of that nature that have that dog in them, if you will. Some people are conf- not confused, but uneducated about what dogs are capable of. You know, so we did a little protection work demo. We have this sweetheart that you've been seeing in the camera. This is
Not.
yeah, this is Ray, our 2-year-old, and you know, just doing some demonstration of how, yeah, she can walk around, lay down all nice and be quiet for the most part of the day. You know, we had her sitting on or laying on a bed out at the festival. People were coming up by her, walking past her, you know, like a statue. But then I put on the sleeve and showed what could happen when we light the dog up and tap into that primal drive that they're, you know, bred with. So I like to talk about drive manipulation. I like to talk about reactivity as well, though. You know, a lot of people struggle with dogs that bark at other dogs, bark at other people, try to bite, you know, other dogs and people. So I've worked a lot with behavior modification and getting dogs to stop doing those behaviors and helping handlers understand how to prevent it from happening. So I love to speak on that stuff as well.
That's cool. So it's not just training for the dog, but also training for the owner and the handlers
Oh, absolutely.
to sort of get a deeper understanding of how their dog ticks and things like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you guys found that certain dog breeds can be a bit more reluctant to training than others?
So it really depends on the individual dog, believe it
Okay.
or not. You know, I think we were talking about earlier, you know, we get, you know, Huskies that could be a very stubborn breed, but they come out, you know, and go through training and, you know, can be the smartest, easiest dog to train. You know, vice versa, you can have a dog like a German Shepherd that, you know, comes from a different lineage or a different background, or if it's a rescue, you know what I mean? They're going to have, you know, a different personality going into training. So that's why we kind of base our training. It's not a very cookie cutter
Hmm.
way, if that makes sense. You know, we really go and we evaluate every individual dog so we can get a feel for that personality, and we apply, you know, specialized training program just based off of that and the owner's goals as well. So every dog is so different, you know, you never know what you're gonna get. I think that's definitely, you know, a fun, exciting part out of it as well. But, you know, can't really speak on, you know,
Difficult breed.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, it's all about the personality, you know, how the owners raised them, things like that, for sure.
Sure. It's very clear to me that you guys are very passionate about what you do, and you can see it just how you're talking and how you're interacting with your dog right here and now, sitting with you. So what is your favorite part about what you guys get to do day in and day out? What's the best
So,
part about what you get to do?
so personally, if we can we speak on our personal notes? So
Yeah, go for it, of course.
all right. So personally, myself, you know, I have two top things. Just above all, working with the dog. You know, working with the dog in front of you. Like she said, every dog provides a certain set of challenges that differ from the dog before. And I'm sure as a teacher, you understand that. You know, no child is the same, right? So when you're working with dogs, it's just one of those things where once they start to get it's mind blowing. But also, I love doing the protection work stuff. Like that's just such an adrenaline rush for me as a decoy, and then also as a handler. You know, to send your dog onto a decoy and see what that couch potato is capable of doing. You know, when you see your dog really do some bite work, it's crazy. It's kind of like a surreal feeling. So that's my note. But
Yeah.
please.
Mine's a little, you know, corny, but I would definitely say, you know, changing people's lives. You know, we've dealt with a variety of different clients. You know, some people are, you know, little bit older and they want a dog as a companion, but being able to help them have that companion and have the control over the dog, so they're able to walk the dog and not worry about chasing a squirrel and pulling them down the street, being able to train the dog to the owner's lifestyle and be compatible with their lifestyle. But my favorite thing is just, once you start to train and the dog starts to make the connection and they start to understand what's expected of them, that's probably the best part, because then, it's up from there. Like, we have one dog we train, he's a 7 month, 8 month old standard poodle. I mean, that's a young
Hmm.
dog, you know what I mean? And already at his age, I mean, it's a smart breed, of course, but
Hmm.
just at that age, he went through training with us, and the owners, they text us all the time that, oh, we can bring him. They just took him, to Cape May. We take him to the outlets. We do this with them,
Hmm.
do that with him. And they're able to, involve the dog in their day-to-day life and actually enjoy their dog, and their
Yeah.
dog, can get the most out of their life because they have the freedom. A lot of people think that training takes away freedom from your dog. Boot camp, it's structure, it's pounding this, that. You have to be dominant. That's not the case. The thing is with training is that if you do it right, there's a million ways you can do it wrong. There's a lot of techniques out there, but doing it the right way to where the dog enjoys it and enjoys doing it for you, just because you have that relationship with them, you can take them anywhere. It just gives them so much freedom.
That's great. And for people, a lot of people are not having as many kids anymore, and their animals are their kids. That's a
Yes.
big thing for a lot of people to be able to
Yes.
take their dog with them, like to Cape May for a day trip or wherever. So that really is like a huge thing and service you guys are doing for those people.
Yeah, we try.
Speaking of the people, um, if if they have listened to this interview and are really into what the work you guys are doing, where can they learn more about South Jersey Canine online?
So you can check us out at southjerseyk9.com, or we have an Instagram, SouthJK9, and then we're also on Facebook, South
Yeah.
Jersey K9. So we're on most social media platforms, and our website has links to both of them. So you can check us out there.
And I'll be sure to throw those links in the description if you are interested in learning more about South Jersey Canine or speaking with Antonio and Madisson. Guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me about what you do. I love talking to
Yeah,
people who are passionate about what they're doing. It gives me like that adrenaline rush that you mentioned as
I
well.
love
So thank you
that.
so
Thank,
much.
thank you for your
Thank
time,
you.
Adam.